How to get comfortable speaking. Now, this is something that's very difficult at first, or it seems very difficult, and it does take some time in order to get comfortable with speaking. And it's going to be very annoying for you, the very first thing that I tell you here. But I promise you, if you listen to what I'm about to say, the kindness of the words that I say, I promise you that you will get comfortable with speaking. And that is just to do it. This was the advice that I was given when I started my podcast over 6 years ago. The original one that I started when I was in the fitness industry, doing that before I switched over to public speaking coaching, because I found more of a love for that as I got into podcasting and everything else. But really, just taking action to start speaking is the best thing that you can do for yourself. But outside of that, what are some things that you can do? So I want to share with you three things today that you can do right now to get started. And so the very first one is doing a video like this, whether you do it over Zoom or you just use your phone and get on social media and post a video. I highly suggest that you post the video as well. Don't just simply take it, because you can either take it through the app and have it be recorded on the app and then upload it, or you can take it on your phone first, make sure it's good. Don't take too many recordings of that, because you will procrastinate and you'll nitpick it and you want perfection. No, you need to just post it. I promise very few people are going to watch at the beginning, and even years later, there's some people that don't get a lot of views. And there are times where my videos get very few views. And I'm definitely not the Instagram celebrity or social media celebrity at this point, but my videos still get views and I still get people that admire that I do post those videos. So the very first thing for you is to post videos. Second thing would be to have more conversations. And now you're probably like, well, what in the world? Why? Because I want to get on stage. I want to speak. I want to be in front of people. I want to share a message. Well, the more you can get comfortable with small talk, with having a conversation with somebody, to actively listen to them, is going to help you with getting better at public speaking, because public speaking is not just about you speaking. Sounds kind of weird, but it's not about that, because a lot of people can speak. A lot of people are comfortable with speaking, yet they don't get the attention that they want because all they do is speak. As the old saying goes, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. If you don't listen to what people are saying, how can you speak on the things that they want to hear? And not to mention, when you have this small talk, you have these conversations, one, you get to hear what they think. So you get to put that in your arsenal of things to be able to talk about later when you talk on subjects that you really enjoy. But number two, you get to learn how to speak to somebody in a way that makes them want to listen to you more, because you're getting direct feedback. If the conversations are always awkward, if they always end after a couple of exchanges, that means you're not a very good conversationalist. And the best speakers out there are essentially having conversations with people, even if it is one sided. But the things that they say, the things that they share, could be in a great conversation. And typically, in somebody's mind, as you're sharing something on stage, they're thinking about that. Oh, man, yeah, that relates to me. Oh, yeah, I've been through that before. Oh, wow, that story really touched me. There's many different emotions that can happen from a speaker, but that only happens when the speaker knows how to have a conversation and be able to get into somebody's heart, into somebody's mind, and make them think. So conversation would be number two. And then number three, which is really kind of combining both of these, video content and the conversation, is doing a podcast. By you doing a podcast and interviewing guests, or being on podcast and being interviewed, will help you get better at articulating a conversation, a certain message, and be able to carry on that message and deliver good, valuable content to an audience. And so if it's your podcast, it's a little bit easier. You get to decide who your audience is, who you have on as a guest, and what the conversation is. But if you're on somebody else's podcast, a lot of times what happens is they want to talk about what you're an expert at. So you want to share what it is that you can give them as far as information, but then they're going to ask great questions. Hopefully, if they're a good host, that will get you thinking more. And that's where, again, this active listening comes in. These two big old ears that I got on the side of my head, I need to listen a little bit more to what they're saying, because then that's things that somebody that's not me is thinking about when it comes to my subject matter. And so now I can go back and talk on that more. I can share more content around that. And so that is the beauty behind podcasts from both sides, being the guest and the host for you. So if you want to get better at speaking, those are the three things that you can do. One, start doing videos, post them on social media. Don't just record them, and make sure that you're not recording 500 times before you finally post one. Number two is have conversations with people, whether it be people you know or strangers. Have conversations, actively listen, engage with them in that conversation. So when you go to speak on stage, it's more of a conversation that you're having with them rather than telling them, this is what I think and this is what you should do. And then the third thing is do a podcast. Start your own podcast, be on other people's podcasts, because you're carrying both of these together with being on video as well as having a conversation. But now you're diving in deeper into a particular subject, or maybe a couple of subjects, but you're diving in very deeply. And by doing these things over time, you will get comfortable with speaking.